All right, so we talked about the why, identity of an ambassador. We talked about the who. This is our oikos map. Now we're going to talk about the what. What are we actually going to say? If we're going to make disciples, we have to have conversations with people about what it means to be a disciple. The best way we do that is to share the gospel with them. Share the good news that Jesus has invited us to follow him, to be a disciple. So here's how we do that. Very simple. We use the 3 circles. God has a design for each of our lives. And his design is that we would know him, love him, have a meaningful relationship with him. But each of us has left God's design. We call that sin. Sin always leads to brokenness. And nobody wants to stay in brokenness. No one likes this. I remember times in my life that I was in brokenness, and it was because I turned away from God, I sinned, and so I tried to fix it. I tried to find a way out on my own. None of these attempts ever work. They were all about what I could do or what kind of fun or pleasure I could find. But none of it was addressing the real issue, and that was deep inside, the brokenness that was there. What's amazing is that God made a way to change this. This is called the gospel. Gospel just means good news. The good news is that God sent his own son down to earth, and Jesus fully lived God's design. Part of God's design for his life was for him to sacrifice his life for us. In other words, Jesus died and paid the penalty for the sin that we had done, the sin that I had done. But God raised him from the dead. Amazing. The most amazing event in all of human history. God did this to prove that he had power over brokenness. So there came a point in my life where I turned away from my sin and brokenness, and I began to trust that this really was the way to live, and that this really was what I needed in my life. And through that, God brought me back to his design so that I could recover his plans for my life and then begin to follow those plans instead of my own plans, so I can recover and pursue God's design. This is the gospel. And we always end by asking a question: what circle do you see yourself in? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm taking someone through the 411 is I'm going to show them this, and I'm going to have them copy it while I'm writing it. Okay? Then next time, so they'll have one on the top half. I'm going to draw a line right here. Then I'm going to go through it again, and I'm going to tell them to just listen. Okay, so now put your pen down and just listen while I do it this time. Now I'm going to go through it again. And then I'm going to have them go through it on their own. So the first time they're copying me. The second time I go through it while they listen. But then on the bottom half of their sheet of paper, they're actually going through it on their own. And they'll have the top one that they can look at if they need help. So this is the what. It's the simple message of the gospel shared with a simple tool, the 3 circles.